The man who had it all. Imagine a king so wise that people traveled thousands of miles just to hear him speak. A king so wealthy that silver became as common as stones in his kingdom. A king so powerful that his name was known in every corner of the ancient world. This was King Solomon, the son of David, the builder of the temple, and the ruler of Israel during its golden age. But Solomon's story isn't just about success. It's also about failure, regret, and redemption. It's a story that teaches us about the dangers of pride, the emptiness of materialism, and the importance of staying true to what really matters. So, what happened to King Solomon? How did the wisest man in history fall from grace? And what can we learn from his life today? Let's dive into the full story. The dream that changed everything. Solomon's story begins with a dream. After the death of his father, King David, Solomon was anointed as the new king of Israel. But he was young and inexperienced, and the weight of ruling a nation was overwhelming. One night, as he slept, God appeared to him in a dream and said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Now, most of us might ask for wealth, power, or long life. But Solomon, humbled by the responsibility of leading God's people, asked for something far more valuable: wisdom. He said, "Give me a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong." God was so pleased with Solomon's request that he not only granted him wisdom but also promised him riches, honor, and long life if he remained faithful. And so, Solomon's reign began with a divine blessing that set him apart from all other kings. The wisdom of Solomon. Solomon's wisdom quickly became legendary. People from all over the world came to Jerusalem to test him with riddles and witness his judgments. One of the most famous stories involves two women who claimed to be the mother of the same baby. Solomon, in a stroke of genius, suggested cutting the child in half to settle the dispute. The real mother, overcome with love, immediately offered to give up her claim to save the child's life, while the impostor agreed to the gruesome solution. Solomon, recognizing the true mother's selflessness, awarded her the child. This story, along with many others, spread far and wide, cementing Solomon's reputation as the wisest man who ever lived. The golden age of Israel. Under Solomon's rule, Israel entered a golden age. He built the magnificent temple in Jerusalem, a house for God that housed the Ark of the Covenant. The temple was adorned with gold, precious stones, and intricate carvings, a testament to Solomon's wealth and devotion. He also constructed a grand palace for himself, fortified cities, and established trade routes that brought exotic goods, gold, silver, ivory, and spices from far and wide. His kingdom stretched from the Euphrates River to the border of Egypt, and his wealth was unimaginable. The Queen of Sheba, hearing of Solomon's wisdom and wealth, traveled to Jerusalem to test him with hard questions. After witnessing his wisdom and the splendor of his kingdom, she declared, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told to me." The seeds of decline. Despite his wisdom, Solomon was not immune to temptation. As his power and wealth grew, so did his pride. He amassed a vast harem of 700 wives and 300 concubines, many of whom were foreign princesses married to form political alliances. These women brought with them their gods and idols, and over time, Solomon's heart began to turn away from the Lord. God had warned the Israelites not to intermarry with foreign nations, for they would lead them astray. But Solomon, confident in his own wisdom, ignored this warning. To please his wives, he built altars to their gods Ashtoreth, Molech, and Chemosh on the hills surrounding Jerusalem. He even participated in their rituals, sacrificing to idols and engaging in practices that defied the God who had blessed him so abundantly. The divine rebuked God, who had chosen Solomon and given him everything, was deeply grieved by his actions. He appeared to Solomon a second time and said, "Since this is your attitude and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. Nevertheless, for the sake of your father David, I will not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it out of the hand of your son." The consequences of Solomon's actions were severe. The once unified kingdom of Israel would be divided after his death. 10 tribes would rebel against his son Rehoboam, leaving only the tribe of Judah under Davidic rule. The golden age of Solomon would come to an end, and Israel would never again reach the same heights of glory. The later years, reflection and redemption. In his later years, Solomon's heart grew heavy with regret. He had achieved everything a man could desire: wealth, power, fame, and pleasure. Yet he found it all meaningless. In the book of Ecclesiastes, attributed to Solomon, he reflects on the emptiness of life without God. "Vanity of vanities," he writes, "all is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun?" Solomon's wisdom, once used to build a kingdom, now led him to a profound realization. True fulfillment comes not from earthly pursuits but from fearing God and keeping his commandments. "The end of the matter, all has been heard," he concludes. "Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." The legacy of Solomon's reign ended with his death, and his son Rehoboam inherited a fractured kingdom. The glory of Israel faded, but the lessons of Solomon's life endured. His story is one of both triumph and tragedy, a cautionary tale of how even the wisest and most blessed among us can fall if we lose sight of what truly matters. In the end, Solomon's greatest legacy was not his wealth, his temple, or his wisdom, but his realization that without God, all is meaningless. His writings, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Solomon, continue to inspire and guide generations, offering timeless wisdom and a glimpse into the heart of a man who sought meaning in a world of fleeting pleasures. Lessons from Solomon's life. So, what can we learn from King Solomon's story? Wisdom is a gift, but it's not enough. Solomon had more wisdom than anyone, yet he still made mistakes. True wisdom means staying humble and relying on God. Pride leads to downfall. Solomon's pride and desire for power led him away from God. We must guard our hearts against arrogance and selfish ambition. Material wealth is meaningless. Solomon had it all, but he realized that true fulfillment comes from a relationship with God, not from earthly possessions. It's never too late to turn back. Even in his later years, Solomon found redemption by reflecting on his mistakes and returning to God. Solomon's story is a reminder that no matter how far we fall, God's grace is always available to those who seek it.